Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. This is Beyond Pixels podcast. My name is Anirudh, and I'm very excited to be doing this again. And I'm trying not to slur in the first 10 seconds. And with me is Vinayak, as always. Kaisa hai, bro?
I am pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. एनर्जी कहाँ पे है तेरा? बहुत काम कर रहा है क्या आजकल?
हाँ, थोड़ा थोड़ा बिजी है। अभी जस्ट 2 फोटोज एडिट करके बैठा हूँ।
बस 2 फोटोज इसमें
हाँ,
इतना?
उससे पहले वीडियो एडिट कर रहा था ना बेटा।
क्या क्या चालू है? नए क्लाइंट्स मिले क्या?
या आई हैव गॉट 2 to 3 न्यू क्लाइंट्स।
2 to 3, okay. Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. I mean, हमारा schedule is basically write, shoot, edit and repeat. अब मेरे को बोलना नहीं चाहिए क्योंकि ये कॉपीराइटेड है, किसी
माई
और
जस्ट
का है.
फॉर मी जस्ट एक्सक्लूड दैट राइट पार्ट, राइटिंग वन।
So we did not cover a lot of stuff last year
अ
because we
लॉट।
were on a break and we only made one episode. So let's look back at some announcements that came throughout the end of last year in the last 6 months, and let's reminisce what we missed.
मतलब तू पूरे 6 महीने की कसर निकालने वाला है इसमें।
हाँ, करना ही पड़ेगा ना, अपन ने कितना सारा मिस किया. आई मीन इसमें है ना इतने सारे ऐसे अनाउंसमेंट्स है जिसके लिए मैं बहुत बहुत हाइप्ड हुआ, और ऐसे भी अनाउंसमेंट है जिसको मेरे से देख के फर्क नहीं पड़ा मेरे को. ऐसे भी है
हम्म
कि आई हैड जीरो इंटरेस्ट. सो
हम्म
some of the announcements that made me excited included the comeback of eye control autofocus.
एक
What
मिनट।
do you
was
think about that?
wait was that a comeback or it's a new feature or a new launch?
Okay, so Canon released, or Canon announced their new camera R3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is
Yeah, I know that.
yeah, it only recently released to the public, but pro photographers were already testing it out in the Olympics last year.
Excuse
So
me, Olympics.
yeah, it is a sports camera, no? So they were
Okay, huh.
the Olympics is the place where like companies test out their flagship like sports cameras. So that is the place.
Okay,
So
before even coming into market.
yeah, that's how they do it usually.
I didn't know that thing.
Yeah. So the standout feature, like one of the biggest features that this camera boasts, is called eye control autofocus. Wherever you look with your eyeball, there is a
Mm-hmm.
sensor in the viewfinder that tracks your eyeball and then like shifts your focus to that area. Pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually.
How do you think about
It's
that? I
like
mean,
it's like I have got Canon 80D and I use autofocus sometimes, but while shooting products and all of those, I use manual focus definitely because I want to nail that focus. So
mm-hmm.
sometimes what happens is when I'm out, I'm clicking landscapes or I'm shooting some kind of photos. Sometimes when I use autofocus, what I do is, I have got around 45 points to focus. Okay,
Yeah,
Canon
45 EF
80D.
points, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of times I am switching from different modes in that autofocus types. So I'm pretty excited to try the Canon
So
R3.
another important trend that has happened in the last year is the increase in burst mode, increasing the amount of photos that a camera can take while it's on burst mode.
Kach, 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 kach.
Yeah, so action cameras have known to take a lot of photos in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
The Canon 1DX Mark III can take 16 photos using mechanical shutter, and when it's flipped to electronic shutter mode or mirrorless mode, it can do 20 like photos per second. Yeah,
Okay.
all of these are raw photos, by the way, not JPEGs.
Shit.
Yeah,
Serious.
so with the introduction of the R3 and Sony's A1 after that,
Mm-hmm.
these cameras can do 30 frames per second.
Okay. I just can't. Is that thing in the mechanical shutter or the electronic?
No. I think it is both. I think both the Canon R3 and A1 have mechanical shutter, but I think this burst mode is only for electronic.
Well, that's what I'm thinking because I guess after all, it's the hardware that's doing all the stuff
Yeah, obviously.
because the shutter is not bursting all the images. Then it's the hardware only that's going to do all of those stuff
Yeah,
because
obviously.
30
Also,
frames 30 frames per second is not possible using mechanical shutter.
Yeah, that is very very true, because mechanical shutter will like wear out very very quickly if you do
Yeah.
like that fast.
Hmm.
So another reason why this is possible, because of sensor technology and processor technology within the cameras themselves. So the processors can read the sensors much much faster. So that
Hmm.
has made electronic shutter a viable like shooting option.
Hmm.
On my camera,
Mm-hmm.
which is a 2019 like mid-range camera, a
Hmm.
mirrorless camera from 2019, I don't use mechanical shutter at all. Like I almost exclusively use electronic shutter, and I switch off all sound.
Okay. And why
And
is that?
I mean, I think I've like grown used to not hearing the shutter sound anymore. I mean, my
Don't you
favorite
like it?
shutter sound. No, no, no. I don't hate it. My favorite shutter sound is the Canon 5Ds. It is pure bliss. I've been spoiled by that shutter sound. So whenever I hear something else, I
Hmm.
don't feel like the camera is good enough. I mean, I'm not saying this very literally. This is just a gut feeling.
So you
So
are you are like judging cameras on the based on the shutter sound. That's not
no, no, not like
that's
that.
not
But
that's not fair.
some
That's
people,
not fair. That's not
I
fair.
know, I know that's not fair, and that is why I never actually use mechanical shutter, because I know in mechanical shutter my burst mode is only 5 FPS, but in electronic shutter my burst mode is 20 FPS. So this is possible because the sensor inside my camera is a different type than other sensors. It's called an X-trans sensor. Other cameras have a sensor technology called Bayer sensor. So this has allowed my camera's processor to read out the sensor much much faster,
Hmm.
and that is why I've been using electronic shutter like as much I do,
Hmm.
is because there is basically no difference between using the electronic and mechanical shutter other than the sound itself. Image quality wise, there is no difference. They are exactly the same, and by using a electronic shutter, I'm getting an advantage of being completely silent.
If this was the case that there is no difference between the electronic shutter and the mechanical shutter, then why was this technology like not used from very long? Why we have been using the mechanical shutters
Okay,
from so
yeah,
long?
yeah. See, that is what I'm telling you. See, mechanical shutters are like reliable. Yeah, they have been used for a long time. But more importantly, for electronic shutters to become much more reliable, the processors had to be much faster. So they
Hmm.
had to read out the sensor much faster, especially when sensors are becoming much larger in megapixel size.
Oh,
Abhi, the
huh.
A1 has a 50 megapixel sensor. The
Hmm.
R3 has a 30 megapixel sensor. The upcoming Nikon Z9 also has a 45 megapixel sensor. So these are huge sensors. To
Hmm.
read that much amount of data, you need to have a very fast processor. So
Hmm.
when processor technology improves,
Yeah.
you can like start relying on electronic shutters. And when the first mirrorless cameras came out, electronic shutters were not reliable. When you like started shooting action, when you
Mm-hmm.
do you take panning shots?
Panning shots in.
Do you take panning shots when you're like off vehicles of people,
Yeah, yeah.
पीछे blur हो
Sometimes I
जाता
do
है and
try.
the
Sometimes
subject
I
is in
do try.
focus?
Huh, huh.
Yeah. So no, panning shot is only the one type of example where electronic shutters used to lag, because there is something called as rolling shutter,
Hmm.
which means your image starts to bend when you are moving your camera. So there was a phenomenon called rolling shutter, which was associated with electronic shutters because the processors were not fast enough to grab the data from the entire sensor.
Hmm.
So look, the top part of the sensor would be grabbed first, there would be a lag, and the middle part of the sensor would be grabbed next. There would be a more lag, and then the bottom part of the sensor would be grabbed last. So what happened is that you would see bending in your images.
Okay. Ah,
सो
got it.
तेरा खंबा अगर सीधा है तो तेरा खंबा टेढ़ा दिखेगा तेरे इसमें इमेज में. दैट इज व्हाट यूज्ड टू
समझा.
हैपन विद अर्ली इलेक्ट्रॉनिक शटर्स.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
And
Got it.
another reason why is because when you were shooting with very high frame rates within mechanical shutter, there used to be no blackout almost. But because of electronic shutters being bad in the beginning, there used to be significant amount of blackout. तभी लोग है ना सब्जेक्ट को ट्रैक नहीं कर पाते थे रिलायबली. सो दैट इज
Hmm.
वाई इलेक्ट्रॉनिक शटर्स वर नॉट यूज्ड एज मच. So if you go back to see the reviews of cameras like A7, A7R, the first like big cameras from Sony, you would see all of this. Also, they had very bad battery life.
बैटरी लाइफ फिर भी मेरे कैमरा का बैटरी लाइफ फिर भी ठीक
तेरा
ठाक है.
DSLR है
इट
ना
गिव्स अ
भाई,
गुड अमाउंट
होगा
ऑफ
ऑफ कोर्स.
हाँ वही, मिररलेस में ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम होता है ना, इट
अभी नहीं होता
takes a
बट
lot
पहले
of
होता था.
battery. When it came out first.
Yeah, so electronic shutter has become so reliable that the Nikon Z9 has removed its mechanical shutter completely. There is no mechanical shutter in that camera value.
Yes. अच्छा, by the way, तूने have you tried this thing iPhone 13 का cinematic mode?
मेरे पास आईफोन कहाँ पे है ट्राई करने को.
Actually, I like a month ago when I was going to a mall. Mall में Apple store था. I went there and I tried that cinematic mode and मुझे लगा कि it's good enough to use, but अब मैं क्या कमेंट करूँ उसके बारे में, मतलब
Good enough to use where?
सेटिस्फाई नहीं हुआ मुझे वो चीज़.
First of all, you are in a mall. You are not shooting an actual video. You are not in an
Yeah,
actual
definitely
production.
that's thing,
ठीक
but
है.
that's also the thing, but also it's pretty cool to focus like दो लोगों का focus करना, and as soon as you like go out of the frame and the focus is on the background and all of those things, those are cool things, but still पता नहीं, I didn't feel that kind of satisfaction in using that cinematic mode.
Yeah, so there was a camera like 5 or 6 years ago
Hmm.
which had this crazy technology called depth sensing. So जैसे इमेज अपना कैमरा लेता है ना उसके साथ साथ वो डेप्थ का भी डेटा ले लेता है. सो इन पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन यू कुड चेंज फोकस एंड लाइक अ फोटो कैमरा था वो वीडियो कैमरा नहीं था. तो अभी दैट
हाँ.
फीचर हैज कम टू आईफोन.
Do you think this will long last cinematic mode?
I don't know,
What do you
it
think
it
about that?
seems unnecessary. Like,
Why would someone shoot a movie using a
no,
phone?
people have done that to prove a point, but to prove a point that those productions are very very
No,
very very big. They are not amateur productions.
but do you really think कि कोई भी मूवी प्रोडक्शन या कोई भी मूवी बनेगा नया तो उसमें वो लोग बोलेंगे चलो आज आईफोन 13 से शूट करते हैं?
I don't think so. I don't think
Then why is it even there?
I don't think कोई भी प्रोफेशनल प्रोडक्शंस में कोई आईफोन का भी शूट करता है यूज़ करता है. लोग सिर्फ लेके घूमते हैं बस
हाँ,
क्योंकि they can
एक
afford it.
चीज़ में पक्का होगा, टिकटॉक एंड रील्स में.
हाँ, I think that is going to be the biggest selling point for phone cameras क्योंकि TikTok and Reels content are the ones that are blowing up, right? Like उन पे सबसे ज़्यादा रीच मिलता है. But I don't think उस पे there is a point of buying a new phone just for creating reels क्योंकि there is not a lot of difference in image quality between the last one and the last generation and this generation.
That's the thing. Then why is it even there? वो भी नहीं समझ में आता है.
This is pointless because जो क्वालिटी तुम लोग को मिल रहा है ठीक है. I can agree that Apple has done some
हम्म.
things right, like a lot of things right when it comes to their cameras. उन लोगों ने सॉफ्टवेयर बहुत अच्छा बनाया है, उन लोग का हार्डवेयर
Totally.
अच्छा है कि सी
हम्म.
जनरेशन बाय जनरेशन देयर सेंसर साइज इज इंक्रीजिंग कैमरा का. द एक्चुअल
Yeah.
साइज इज
Yeah.
इंक्रीजिंग नॉट द मेगापिक्सल. तो 12 मेगापिक्सल का लिया है बट द सेंसर इज फिजिकली बिगर. So the
Hmm.
camera quality is improving even though it is you can't see it in between naked eye.
Yeah. Also, what I've found out कि dynamic range भी
हाँ,
काफी
सो
अच्छा
सेंसर
हुआ.
साइज इंप्रूव होता है, डायनामिक रेंज भी इंप्रूव होता है, लो लाइट कैपेबिलिटीज इंप्रूव होता है. सो
वो काफी अच्छा था, वो सब चीजें
yeah,
मुझे
so the
अच्छा
people
लगा
who
थोड़ा.
want to make content for YouTube, the people who don't want to spend
Hmm.
thousands of dollars on cameras, now they can spend thousands of dollars on an iPhone.
Also, there was another release. You might know that thing. Sony Xperia Pro.
Oh my god, yes. I thought you were going to talk about something else. I thought you were going to tell me about the Ronin 4D. मेरे को थोड़ा सा excited हो गया था.
अच्छा, you want to talk about that thing first?
Yeah, I mean that is something that is a legitimately a professional tool. It is not aimed for the people
Mm-hmm.
in mass. It is priced like a
Hmm.
professional tool. It acts like
Totally.
a professional tool because it
Yeah.
is a professional tool.
Yeah.
It is not
Yeah.
trying to
Yes.
emulate something else. उसमें क्या है, there is a full
Hmm.
frame camera sensor, okay, and you have two
Hmm.
to three mounts you can use. You can use Sony का mount. There is another two mounts. DJI का एक proprietary mount है, okay, and it has a
Hmm.
stabilizer arm
Hmm.
attached
Yes.
to it. So a gimbal stabilizer arm. It's a 4-axis gimbal, a legit
Yeah.
one this time, not a gimmicky one.
You know, do you think DJI has entered this Ronin 4D creating a camera and then their own lens and the own gimbal and everything? Do you think DJI will enter the camera market.
DJI has already entered the camera market ना, वही तो बोल रहा हूँ मैं कि
नहीं,
I
but
think
yeah,
their
with
next step
this,
would be नहीं what I'm thinking is I saw a video about this online, a guy who was like reviewing this gimbal, and he said that what I want next from DJI is a cinema camera, like this camera minus the gimbal. अभी लोग ने gimbal और camera को combine कर दिया है, लेकिन मेरे को gimbal नहीं चाहिए, मेरे को सिर्फ camera चाहिए क्योंकि ये camera बहुत अच्छा है. So I think that is
हाँ
what
वही,
DJI is going to do next.
yeah, even I'm getting that kind of feeling because do you think कि like अब ये चीज़ रेड को टक्कर देगा एंड बाकी सबको टक्कर देगा ऐसा,
Yeah, in
फैंटम्स
yeah,
को
of course,
एंड
of course. In terms of price, minus the gimbal, if even if they price it at like $4,000 $5,000, na, it is going to be like a very solid purchase for people who have that kind of money and people who are into like professional productions.
so we were also talking about Sony Xperia Pro. हाँ, so तू बोल रहा था उसके बारे में कि something.
Well, let's talk about Pro-I first, then let's come to Pro. So the Pro-I is a phone which has a 1-inch sensor in the back as its main camera, main shooter.
Hmm. So see, when I got to know about this thing, I watched up the video of MKBHD and was like, okay, this is pretty cool and something very different that Sony has done. And his title was also something very exciting. I don't quite remember that, but it was
I
it.
remember the title. It says something like Sony's new phone, but it comes with a catch.
Yeah, something like that. At the end, he said something which was expected to blow my mind, but आई वॉज अगेन लाइक कि हाँ ये तो वही बात हो गई, जो मेरे पास भी है वही चीज़ हो गई, जो गिमिक उसमें है वो मेरे इसमें भी है, मेरे फ़ोन में भी है. दैट्स द सेम थिंग. आई वॉज टोल्ड कि मेरे फ़ोन में 48 मेगापिक्सल का कैमरा है, एंड व्हेन आई रिसीव्ड माई फ़ोन इट यूज्ड टू शो मी कि ये 12 मेगापिक्सल है, 12 मेगापिक्सल है. आई कॉल्ड अप टू वन प्लस, आई कॉल्ड अप टू अमेजोन, एंड व्हाट आई गॉट टू न्यू इज़ कि जो बेसिक नॉर्मल फोटोज है, whatever you are taking, it's only going to be in 12 megapixel, and there is just one single mode in that कि you can use 48 megapixel to shoot photos.
See, the biggest reason why that particular phone got so much press is because the phone had the exact same sensor as the Sony ZV-1,
Yeah.
which is a point and shoot camera. It is like it was aimed for vloggers. बहुत छोटा कैमरा है, उसमें 1-inch sensor है, so that became a very popular camera. सब लोग उसको recommend करते थे. And when Sony put that exact same sensor on their phone, I also watched this video, but उन लोग ने जो बोला है बराबर ही है. It has a 1-inch sensor, but the optics that go on top of the sensor, that they only produce an image circle 1/3 the size of the sensor. Which
Then why is
means
it even there?
which means
Then why is it
66% of
even
the
there?
sensor is not being used. There is no mode in which you can use the entire sensor. ऐसा भी नहीं है ना कि I mean there might be some mode which says take high megapixel shots, 20 megapixel shots.
हाँ.
Let's talk about the other phone. Let's talk about Sony Xperia Pro. इनका नेमिंग स्कीम इतना मस्त है ना, कंफ्यूज होगा ही नहीं प्रो आई और प्रो के बीच में.
Okay, and why is that?
सार्कास्टिकली बोल रहा था. या
But
तो इतना
नहीं, but
seriously
I was like कि एट द एंड ऑफ द, हाँ ठीक है, मैं एट द एंड ऑफ क्यों बोल रहा हूँ, मैं लास्ट में बोलूँगा ये चीज़. चल बोल. नहीं, आई वाज जस्ट सेइंग कि लाइक कि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे हम फ़ोन के कैमरास के बारे में, फ़ोन के कैमरा के फीचर्स के बारे में, उसमें चाहे कितना भी 4 एक्सेस गिम्बल भी आ जावे, एट द एंड ऑफ द डे वी आर गोइंग टू बी ऑलवेज डिसअपॉइंटेड बाय दैट थिंग.
या मेरे को तो लगता ही कि हम लोग हमेशा डिसअपॉइंट होने वाले हैं इससे,
क्योंकि रियल फोटोग्राफर्स हु केयर अबाउट द साइज ऑफ द सेंसर्स, द साइज ऑफ द इमेज, द size of like I mean the way the software produces, the way the hardware works, counting each and everything, वो चीज़ कभी भी फ़ोन में नहीं होने वाला, बिकॉज फ़ोन हैज़ टू मैनेज एवरी अदर स्टफ एंड ऑल्सो द कैमरा.
या ट्रू
दैट्स द बिगेस्ट डिफरेंस इन दैट थिंग, बिकॉज वो चीज़ कभी नहीं. अभी DSLR में तो स्मार्टफोन फीचर्स तो कभी नहीं आने वाले, बिकॉज उसको पूरा एंड्रॉयड सिस्टम
जरूरत नहीं है.
हाँ नहीं, वही
नहीं जरूरत नहीं है,
जरूरत नहीं है.
DSLR
नहीं,
का
आई एम
मेन
जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट
पर्पस इज टू शूट फोटोज.
हाँ वही मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि
right?
हाँ, वही तो फ़ोन को अभी ऐसा चल रहा है कि यूजिंग ऑल द मार्केटिंग गिमिक्स दे आर ट्राइंग टू से कि फ़ोन ही तुम्हारा डीएसएलआर है, बस।
ये कुछ ज़्यादा ड्रामेटिक नहीं हो गया? Vinayak, do you really think that phone is worth rupees 1,33,699?
आई वोंट बाय, सॉरी।
By the way, that is just the US का pricing. इंडिया में के और भी बढ़ेगा if
हाँ,
they
वो
release
तो
it.
है। हाँ, डेफ़िनिटली। बट स्टिल
So,
आई वोंट बाय इट।
so the second phone that Sony released, which got a lot of press, is the Xperia Pro,
हुँ,
and some people called it an actual pro device. This is the only phone in the market that that has the features to make it legitimately pro. But मेरे को
ओके।
उसमें थोड़ा deep dive करना है कि
हुँ,
what features make something pro and what features does not make it pro. So a quick rundown is that it has three 12 megapixel cameras that can shoot 4K. It has a
हुँ,
21 by 9 inch display, a 6.5 inch display, which is OLED and which is also
हुँ,
4K.
हुँ।
And the biggest feature in this phone, the selling point is that it has a micro HDMI port जो कि तू अपने कैमरा को कनेक्ट कर सकता है and then you can use it as a monitor. That
ओके।
is that is the biggest selling point.
And what if like while you are shooting a video, suppose you're, for example, you're shooting a music video and you have attached your Sony Xperia Pro as a monitor to your DSLR or a camera something and like that, and उसी टाइम पे तुम्हें फोन आता है।
हाँ, that is what I'm saying ना. I think they have a like a proprietary app for shooting video. जब जैसे ही तू
या आई नो दैट।
कनेक्ट करता है,
हाँ।
हाँ, तो वो शुरू हो जाता है. I don't think उसमें फ़ोन काम करेगा फिर. I think it will go into D&D mode. So that is
हु
not that
नोस।
is not my main concern at all. This was made primarily to be shot with Sony cameras, right? Because it's Sony.
या।
हाँ, तो when you connect this phone to a Sony camera, the camera का जो
हम्म।
screen है वो switch off हो जाता है. And then
हाँ, ऑब्वियसली।
हाँ, और तेरा फ़ोन का जो स्क्रीन है इट क्रॉप्स डाउन टू 16:9 एंड सारे सेटिंग्स जो है उस फ्रेम के अंदर आते हैं क्योंकि और कैमरा शूटिंग 16:9. तो
हम्म।
आजू बाजू में ऑल यू हैव इज यूजलेस रियल एस्टेट प्लस द टच स्क्रीन ऑन योर कैमरा एंड द टच स्क्रीन ऑन योर फोन डज नॉट वर्क except except the only thing that works it you can double tap the phone to zoom in to check focus. That's it.
एक मिनट, सो यू कांट यूज द सेटिंग्स फ्रॉम योर मॉनिटर टू आई मीन स्विच एनीथिंग एंड ऑल ऑफ दोस
You
थिंग्स?
can't, तेरे सामने जो
Then what is the even use of that thing, man?
you have a 6.5 inch display, a touchscreen display that you can't use it to change settings. Also, why am I like saying that this is such a bad product? Why am I disappointed in this? Is because it cost $2,500. Kitna? One lakh
$2500?
eighty-five thousand six hundred and ninety rupees.
हाँ, तो यहाँ पे इंडिया में आते आते 1 लाख पकड़, 2 लाख पकड़ ले।
2 lakh minimum 2 lakh. ठीक है?
हम्म।
And all it does is it becomes a 4K field monitor. इसका biggest selling point is that you can connect this to your camera like when you are
हम्म।
using it in a gym gimbal or somewhere, and since the phone has 5G you can transmit the video feed directly somewhere to a like a control room, and then they can rebroadcast it somewhere else on the internet or on TV. So that is their main audience. But here is what I want Sony to do. If you want to claim that it is a pro phone, like somewhat make it even more pro, na? This is not pro at all. Let me show you. Let me tell you why this is not pro. Because there are legitimate professional options that are much cheaper and do this job much better. So you might be knowing this
And
company called Atomos.
no, I don't know.
So Atomos is a company that makes professional field monitors. They make monitors, external
हम्म।
monitors that go on top of your camera. तुमने देखा तो रहेगा कम से कम ये बाकी
हाँ,
लोगों के
वो
वीडियो
देखा है,
में.
मतलब मैंने ऐसा कैमरास के ऊपर देखा है, मॉनिटर्स होते हैं, बट आई डोंट नो द कंपनी एक्चुअली।
Atomos makes a field monitor called Shinobi 7, which is a 7-inch 4K monitor. It is a field
ओके।
monitor and
हाँ।
it will cost you only 59,000 rupees.
हाँ।
Only because the phone
हम्म।
is, comparatively. Okay?
हम्म।
And there is another monitor that Atomos also makes. It is a monitor
हम्म।
and an external recorder. It's called the Ninja 5, which is very, very famous. Almost every single YouTuber उनके पास है रहेगा ये.
हम्म।
ठीक है? It can record 10-bit 4K up to 60 frames per second in HDR, and it also has an OLED screen. It's a 5.2-inch OLED screen,
Hmm.
and it costs only 70,000 rupees.
Okay, so it means basically ki what Sony has done here is ki they have given us a monitor for the cameras, and also like 1000 अगर उसको consider करें कि $700 का monitor है, and then add up $1,800, उसमें तुमको अपना स्मार्टफोन मिल जाएगा.
Yeah, which is a very 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 bad deal. And I can't.
Totally.
नहीं नहीं, इसमें और भी चीज़ है जो इसको और बैड बनाती है. क्यों पता है क्या? क्योंकि प्रोफेशनल मॉनिटर्स में ना ऐसे सारे फीचर्स होते हैं जो उस फ़ोन में नहीं है. प्रोफेशनल मॉनिटर्स हैव टच स्क्रीन का, तेरे को वैरायटी मिल जाएगा प्रोफेशनल मॉनिटर्स में. सो यू कैन
Hmm.
यूज़ द टच स्क्रीन ऑन द मॉनिटर टू चेंज द कैमरा सेटिंग्स, वेदर इट
Hmm.
इज ISO और वाइट बैलेंस और समथिंग लाइक दैट. एंड you have features like zebra, focus peaking, false color and wave forms. These are tools that cinematographers use in every shoot. ठीक है, दिस इज
Okay.
वॉट
हाँ.
देयर ब्रेड एंड बटर इज. दिस इज वॉट दे यूज इन एवरी शूट टू चेक फोकस, चेक एक्सपोजर एंड
हाँ.
चेक द फ्रेमिंग. ठीक है, all of these is
वही.
conveniently absent from the phone. How very nice of them. And the cheapest video monitor that you can buy on Amazon, you will find all of these features. In the cheapest one you can find is for 12,000 rupees or something like that. I don't know the company name exactly, but if you want to buy a monitor, only a monitor,
हाँ.
like an external
हाँ.
monitor, you can find it for around 12,000 rupees, and it has all of these features.
क्या मतलब, why are we even talking about this thing? We seriously need to stop talking about again and again. वही चीज़ होता है, वही कुछ फ़ायदा नहीं है. It's always a disappointment from phones.
Technology like this can make mid-range cameras into a much more professional tool. ठीक है, because
Hmm.
mid-range cameras only have one memory card slot. So a monitor slash recorder like this can, like, can enable like multiple recordings. So एक ही चीज़ का तो दो recording बना सकता है. It is called
Hmm.
redundant recording, and this is
Hmm.
present in all pro cameras. अभी तो कुछ
Yeah,
भी
just like Canon 1D ना, दो
हर
slots
हर
है
हर
memory
एक
card में.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली, तो हर एक एक्चुअल प्रो कैमरा में देख, देर आर टू मेमोरी कार्ड स्लॉट्स एंड यू हैव अ ऑप्शन
Hmm.
टू record in both the slots simultaneously. So you have a copy
हाँ.
of the copy of what you shot. Other
Hmm.
features that can like make this technology much better is the ability to shoot in 10-bit, not in 8-bit.
Hmm.
Because mid range cameras में 8-bit ही होता है, मेरे कैमरा में भी 8-bit है, but if I attach an external recorder to it, I can shoot in 10-bit. So that makes my camera much more capable. I can shoot in larger dynamic range. मेरा जो पोस्ट प्रोडक्शन में कलर का वर्क फ्लो है वो ज़्यादा बेहतर हो जाएगा. ठीक है,
Hmm.
and then there is this is a feature that I want Sony to implement in one of their future like concepts. You know, the Ronin 4D has a small GoPro like thingy on top of it, on top of the camera,
Yeah.
the LiDAR sensor.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that. That it creates that graph of that focus कि focus range कहाँ पे है.
Yeah, so it makes it extremely helpful for assistant cameramen or assistant directors who are handling the focus
Manual
pulling,
focus
manual
dial.
focusing. It helps them to do a much better job. It makes it much easier.
Hmm.
So what Sony can do is they can ditch the 1-inch sensor BS, and they can ditch the multiple camera BS. They can combine the Pro and Pro-I into one phone, and instead of a very big camera sensor that does not actually work, give us a LiDAR sensor.
Hmm. Do you think कि like these kind of phones are being like an experiment?
I think they are. I think they are, because
Like
I don't think anybody is going to actually buy this.
it's like it feels like they are trying to implement everything in one phone, and there are some features left out, or they fail to upgrade that to that kind of features, and
No,
then they just
like a
start selling
majority
it
of
in
the features
market.
are left out. उन लोग सिर्फ they put 1 to 2 features in, and then they call it a pro camera, like a pro phone.
Phone.
How is
Yeah.
it pro? Because there is no focus peaking, there is no zebra, there are no waveforms. How will upcoming cinematographers use your phone as a field monitor if they don't have these features to work on?
वही ना कि it's at the end of the day it's वही है कि वो marketing gimmick में जाता है, and उसी phase में वो चल रहा है,
See,
बस और
हाँ
कुछ नहीं.
वही, what at the end of the day they could have made something which is much more useful for people, which is much more justifiable for the price that they are selling. And both of these phones are not going to sell. मैं बोल रहा हूँ.
Well, we can't actually judge that thing कि the phones will be sold or not.
Sony sells the least amount of smartphones in the market already. So
Hmm.
they are not the market leader, they are the market bottom when it comes to smartphones. Because
Yeah.
उन लोग ने 2-3 साल से उन लोग ने मार्केटिंग ही बंद कर दिया अपने फोन्स के. एंड व्हेन दे सडनली मेड ऐसे उन लोग ने कम बैक किया, दे केम विद दीज टू फोन्स एंड दे केम विद.
You are actually talking like MKBHD right now because मैंने जब उसका वीडियो स्टार्ट किया था ये वाला सोनी
उसने
एक्सपेरिया
भी सेम
प्रो
चीज़
के बारे
बोला है.
में,
आई नो.
उससे भी he said the same thing कि स्मार्टफोन्स ऑफ द सोनी हैव बीन ऑलवेज कि उनका कैमरास में कुछ इशू या फिर उनका सॉफ्टवेयर में बग्स है ज़्यादा करके या कुछ ना कुछ इश्यूज रहते ही थे.
सोनी का इश्यू क्या है, उन लोग को इनोवेशन करना है, लेकिन उन लोग ने
दे आर
आधा करके छोड़ दिया.
लिमिटिंग दैट
They are
समवेयर.
limiting their own innovation.
या.
See, instead of putting a 1 inch sensor on their phone, if they improved their existing software,
हम्म.
ठीक है, if they had just put the 1/3 inch का sensor जो होता है, जो उन लोगों ने ऑलरेडी बना के डाला है, if they use
हम्म.
that sensor and if they improve their software, at least they would have decent cameras
हम्म.
to shoot. At least people ये नहीं बोलेंगे कि हम लोग iPhone ले लेंगे, नहीं बोलेंगे. They would actually consider buying a Sony.
यस.
And they don't mark, if they don't mark it up at an insane price where only 10 people can buy it, and in at which place it looks like a gimmick, at least more people will buy it then.
I have no comments left regarding the phones and its cameras.
Vinayak, if you go out and buy an Atomos Ninja 5, because I told you today, if you go out and buy
Hmm.
it tomorrow, you will be using that monitor for the next 10 years,
Obviously.
because it is a professional tool. It is made to last. But if you go out and buy a Sony Xperia Pro-I tomorrow,
It won't last for long because
it is
it is
going to be
also a
e-waste
phone.
in less than 4 years. That is
Hmm.
what is happening.
I agree on every point of that.
I think that pretty much settles the phone versus camera debate as well. I saw this post on Reddit जिसमें बोला था लोगों की, has mobile phone photography made you like keep your camera down?
No, never.
So let me just bring out that post. It says, has phone photography killed anybody else's camera usage?
Yeah, it's actually happening right now.
I'm asking your
Because
opinion. What do you think? तूने फोन लिया तो तूने कैमरा यूज करना बंद कर दिया?
no,
That is what I'm
मैं
asking.
फोन का कैमरा लाइक कभी कभी यूज़ करता हूँ. आजकल तो बहुत ही कम हो गया है.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, the work that I do, product photos and videos, I can't do that using my phone definitely.
At the end of the day, computational photography is becoming a thing. Like softwares are being used more and more on phones to make photos better. Even on professional workplaces, artificial intelligence softwares are coming out. They are making the workflows much faster. But nothing can beat a a much bigger sensor and very good color science to begin with.
Do you remember the first phone that came out with 2 or 3 cameras? I quite don't remember.
I don't remember the camera that
The phone.
came with the phone with came with 2 to 3 cameras, but I remember the first phone that claimed to be you know as good as a pro camera. It was a Nokia phone and it had 42 megapixels. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
I remember this distinctly because uska color scheme was kali pili, black and yellow. उसका पूरा उसका बैक प्लेट उसका येलो था, एंड उसका जो कैमरा
Hmm.
बम था इट वाज ब्लैक.
Okay, वो सर्कल सा कैमरा बम था
हाँ,
वो वाला.
यस यस, उसमें
Okay,
एक ही
I
कैमरा था
remember.
उसमें, बट इट वाज 42
हाँ.
मेगापिक्सल्स.
If we try to end this debate, अगला दिन कोई नया फ़ोन आएगा जिसमें 4 कैमरास रहेंगे. What I think कि एक दिन ऐसा आएगा अभी कि दे आर गोइंग टू मार्केट इट सो मच कि कैनन एंड ये अपने जितने भी कैमरा ब्रांड्स है ये लोग रोएंगे.
I don't
I
think
seriously feel that.
I don't think Canon
नहीं.
has to worry about anything, and I think they are doing the right thing by innovating.
या बट ना वही कैनन का बात आ रहा है तो मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ कि दे हैव स्टॉप्ड क्रिएटिंग द
वन ऑफ द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चंस तूने मेरे को पूछा था सबसे पहले कि
हम्म।
डीएसएलआर का एरा हो गया क्या, पिछले साल तूने पूछा था स्टार्टिंग में.
हाँ वही।
ठीक है, आई
और
थिंक
वो
आई थिंक
अब
वी हैव एन
सच्ची
आंसर नाउ.
में, या बिकॉज देर इज़ अ स्पेसिफिक रीज़न ना कि मिररलेस का काफ़ी मार्केट में बूम हो रहा है, प्लस ऑल्सो द क्रॉप्ड सेंसर जो एपीएससी है उसको
हाँ,
भी
एपीएससी
उसके
इज
वजह
बिकमिंग
से,
मोर एंड मोर पॉपुलर. या
हाँ उसके वजह से भी कैनन इज ऑल्सो थिंकिंग दे कंसिडरिंग, बेसिकली कंसिडरिंग एवरीथिंग, दे थॉट ऑफ लाइक स्टॉप मेकिंग DSLRs and more focus on mirrorless ones.
या at the end of the day, the era of DSLRs is over.
Why do I'm well, why I'm getting a feeling like कि अगर 30 frames per second है and electronic shutter है plus everything is there, why am I getting feeling कि R1 में शायद 480 frames per second का video recording करेगा feature?
हो
Why
सकता है ना,
I
क्योंकि
am
या सो फ्लैगशिप कैमरा का ये होता है कि दे हैव टू गेट द बेस्ट photography features and videography features as well side by
hmm
side. So
वही
even though A7R4 exists as a
hmm
very good photography camera, it has 61 megapixels, and A7S3 exists as a very good video camera with only 12 megapixels and the ability
it's
to shoot 4K 120.
हाँ
The A1 came out.
it's just like the smartphones, like it's the same thing. I feel कि it's going to happen with the mirrorless cameras right now.
Yeah, and Fujifilms had also told that they are going to incorporate computational photography in their future models. I don't know what exactly it means,
Hmm.
but people are very excited in the Fujifilm community about this very specific announcement. I don't know what's going to happen, but all I can say is that there are two bodies that are coming out rumored. They'll be coming out in May of this year,
Hmm.
and they're going to be, I think, industry leading when it comes to APS-C cameras. Also, Fuji recently opened up their lens mount. So Tamron is making 3 lenses for Fuji. Do you know the company Samyang? Rockinon?
No, I don't. I एक मिनट
Rockinon तो सुना रहेगा तूने.
नहीं नहीं सुना नहीं सुना है, no,
So
I don't know.
Rockinon used to make manual focus lenses for Fujifilm mount, FX mount.
Hmm.
और
Hmm.
बाकी माउंट्स के लिए उन लोग ने ऑटो फोकस बनाया था, बट दे रिसेंटली केम आउट विद ए 12mm f2 lens. It was a manual focus lens 2 years ago, and they just released an autofocus version. So this means that Fujifilm is finally getting cheaper lens options plus more lens options other than the Fuji brand itself. Plus, their bodies are going to get much, 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 much better with computational photography and improvements to
It's more lighter.
improvements to their autofocus. So that is, I'm very excited about Fujifilm.
Definitely, you will be much more excited because you're already having one.
I am, yes, I'm a fanboy.
Yeah.
All right,
Uh,
so I think that was the last topic for today. We have
yeah.
released a blog on our website. We will be blogging almost every week, one every week. And a blog is a very good place for us because we'll be posting our photos there, and वहाँ पे compression नहीं रहेगा, वहाँ पे cropping वगैरह नहीं रहेगा. So people can enjoy our photos in the highest resolution possible, and उसका quality compromise नहीं होगा Instagram जैसे. So the first post is already out. We have outlined what gear we use and why. It is a very exciting thing. Go check it out. The link will be alongside in the description as always.
Yes.
Okay, guys, so thank you so much for listening to us. This has been a wonderful hour's worth of talk.
अभी next podcast से we will talk about something more and some exciting stuff.
Yep.
And maybe we might bring in photographers again,
Yeah.
just like we used to do previously.
Yeah, I'm very excited. अभी वापस लॉकडाउन होने का बात शुरू हो रहा है, तो आई गेस फोटोग्राफर्स आर कमिंग बैक होम अगेन.
Yeah.
घर पे रहना ही पड़ेगा. Let's bring some people in.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
excited.
Alright, guys, thank you for listening to us. This has been fun. You can check our website down in the description below. And if you did not listen to the previous podcast, we made an announcement that we will bring out one magazine every 2 months instead of one every month. So we are working on the 7th edition now. So stay tuned for that. And you can check our socials links also down below. Okay, that's it from me. I'm tired now. Bye bye.
Bye.